Welcome to Detective Diaries, brought to you by Private Detectives Answers Investigation. If you're captivated by the art of deduction, the thrill of solving the unsolvable, or the enigmatic world of private investigation, you have just found your new favourite podcast. Detective Diaries are where secrets are unravelled and the truth is always a clue away. Presented by Private Detective Answers Investigation. Each episode contains offbeat conversations about the real people involved in investigation.
Hello and welcome back to yet another edition of Detective Diaries. My name's Nigel Parsons. I'm sat today, more interesting than me, with somebody who I found absolutely fascinating in the last few weeks. Her name's Etienne Middleton, and she's probably one of the youngest new investigators in the country, which is quite a claim to fame. Etienne's actually studying criminology at Reading University, just about to go into the third year. But she spent the last month with us finding out what it's like to become a private detective, private investigator. 21 years of age, Etienne spent most of her life growing up in Singapore, which gives her quite a unique experience and quite a unique take on things. But come on, enough of me. Etienne, tell us about your background. What was it like? I mean, especially growing up in Singapore, but more importantly, how did your interest in crime and investigation start? Where did it come from?
Well, my interest in crime and investigation actually is not really an interesting story, to say the least. I mean, it was kind of more like I just always kind of knew that I wanted to do it. I've known that I wanted to do it since I was like 7, 8 years old, not really knowing what it was, but I always kind of knew that I had a passion in it, even though I didn't really know what it was. I think I started off wanting to be a criminal lawyer, but I thought, absolutely not. I don't enjoy reading that much. So I thought, do you know what, I'll go down the criminology route of things. And the more I started to learn about what it was, the more I became fascinated in that sort of thing. But also as well, it's interesting on why I would like crime, even though I've grown up in a country that has the least crime in the world. So that's what I find funny as well, that I would want to do this job or even know much about it growing up in a country that has absolutely no crime whatsoever. I mean, I was allowed out of the house at like 11, 12 years old, which here, I'm an only child, so I was sheltered. My parents, if I lived in the UK, they wouldn't have let me leave the house on my own till I was like 16. So in Singapore, I could go out and do whatever I wanted because it was so safe, and run around and do absolutely anything I wanted to just because it was so safe.
Do you know, that is such an interesting aspect. I just haven't really thought about it because you're having a foot in both worlds. You know, one foot there and one foot here. I mean, I've worked in Singapore a few years ago for crime, which was my first experience there. I mean, you know, the country's absolutely fascinating. You're right about the low levels of crime. It seems, you read the news, it seems like if somebody commits a minor crime, it's headline news.
Yeah. I had a friend at that point in time, and well, he wasn't a friend. I knew someone of a mutual acquaintance, and in the Singapore Zoo, super open, he jumped into one of the cages, because it's not a cage, it's a tiny little fence. He'd gone over and done a backflip in the rhino pen. It went so viral, the whole of Singapore knew about it. Everyone was talking about it because it was headline of news, because that was the only crime happening at that point in time.
Good grief.
And everyone knew about it. His nickname, he had like a massive nickname. Everyone had merchandise and everything because it was the biggest thing going on in Singapore at the time. That was the biggest crime, someone going into a rhino enclosure and just doing a backflip.
Punishment's quite severe there, isn't it?
Yeah. I think most of the time you get caned. But I believe it's only men that can get caned, not women, because we're deemed as not to be strong enough to get caned. I believe. If I'm right. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Questa è la storia di Giuseppe Dosi, un detective italiano dei primi del Novecento.
And in English translation, this is the story of Giuseppe Dosi, an Italian detective of the early 20th century. Here we relate the adventures of Signora Dosi on Detective Diaries. Do you know what? So, something that sticks in my mind on a bit of downtime. We were walking around the nature parks, and it runs alongside an army camp. And I can remember, I took a picture of it. There's a sign on the fence, and it doesn't say trespassers will be prosecuted. It's just a picture of a trespasser and somebody pointing a gun at them. You know, with this message of, you don't trespass.
I know. It's crazy.
So why come back to the UK to go to university? I mean, you're at what, Reading?
Yeah.
How do you find Reading?
It's good. It's
The university, not
yeah. No, the university's great. I mean, I couldn't have asked to go to a better university in terms of like sense of community, because Singapore's got a quite big sense of expat community. So going to Reading, because it's a campus uni and all that, it's, yeah, really good.
But what inspired you to come back to the UK for education?
Well, I mean, obviously, in terms of criminology, I'm not going to go and, you know, I'm not going to do that in Singapore. There's nothing really out there for me. And as well, I think most Singapore expat schools tend to push you. I mean, the only route we got given was university. There was no such thing. I didn't even know what apprenticeship was until I came here. I didn't know anything. So the only route that they take you down is you leave school and you go straight to university. Because obviously as well, you can't work. I couldn't work in Singapore. I couldn't work part-time. Then, you know, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed because I'm on a dependent pass off of my dad or my mum. That's how it works. So I physically am not allowed to work. Only that of a permanent resident, or because I don't have my own employment pass. So I couldn't work. So they just push you to go to university, and that's that, nothing else. So I was kind of directed more towards England, and all of my friends from school, everyone I knew was either Australia, America, or England. And obviously I'm from England, so I get, you know, like what's it called? I get a loan, student loan and all of that. And over here I've got family and friends, so it just seemed the most logical answer.
So, work experience in a private detective. I mean, that's virtually unheard of. I mean, you spent a month with us at Answers Investigation. I mean, we're probably about the only people that we know who provide that kind of opportunity. But how did you find out about that?
Well, I'm quite a little tech savvy. I actually did all the research myself. I went to like my tutor at university, and I kind of told her what I wanted to do essentially at the end of my degree, which was kind of investigative detective kind of work. And she kind of led me in the direction of job titles that I could do. That's it. Like, obviously she's going to lead me more towards like Thames Valley Police from Reading. But I didn't really want to do something that would lead me to potentially just doing coffee runs. Or like, if I was to do work experience for Met or Thames Valley Police, I would have literally been sat there probably getting them coffees or doing the coffee runs, or not really getting much experience. Whereas I kind of did lots of research, found here, and I looked at it and signed up, did the application, then did the interview, and I thought, I won't just be doing coffee runs here.
Okay, in a number from 1 to 10, how many coffee runs have you done in the last month?
0. Unless I get my own coffee on the way to work.
So what have you done? What's your experiences? I mean, a month's a short amount of time, but what's some of the practical things that you've seen, learnt about, experienced?
Well, I've learned a lot more than I thought I would. I thought, you know, you'd just be chasing after people running around, which essentially, you know, I've done, but it's a small amount of, I didn't realise all of the background work that kind of goes into it, which I think will benefit me, especially in my last year of university, and just to have that experience behind me if I'm, you know, just to put on the CV or anything like that. I didn't expect that I'd be doing that kind of, I didn't expect I'd be learning as much as I have.
You spent some time doing some surveillance in Reading. I mean, go on, describe it.
It was interesting. It's a lot more time consuming than I thought. Like it's more like you're sat there, I mean, observing really. I don't want to say too much about it just in case, but I think the one in the New Forest was more interesting. Whipping around in the car, going on a little day out really. But the one in Reading, it was good. It's a lot more, I'm quite a structured person. I like routine. And what I noticed is you can't rely on that when it comes to observations, and it's a lot of sitting around not knowing what you're going to do next, which I struggled with at the beginning, but I kind of came to terms with it as it went on.
I guess you can't really plan it because
Exactly.
it's a reactive situation. You are there and you are reacting to what somebody else does. And when it happens, does it happen quickly?
But I have to plan. That's the problem. I normally have to plan, so this, for me, was a completely brand new thing that I've ever had to do. And the self-discipline I had to have was incredible because I learned that actually most of the time in this kind of line of work, you don't know what you're going to do next. You can't plan everything. You can't have everything structured, which I mean, I've always thrived off of, whereas now I've realised I can't thrive off of, and I wouldn't have had that experience if I hadn't have done it before I left university, for example. You're told it, but you don't expect it.
Think on your feet and react quickly, is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely.
So, you're going back for what, third year now? Criminology degree? How is this experience going to benefit?
Well, my last year of university.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, I get the pleasure of being able to write about this experience as my dissertation. So, I mean, it's going to benefit me massively, personally. But if I wasn't going to, I mean, everything overall in terms of just having that bit of more background and more experience, really, because I think it's quite a niche subject to get experience in. For example, if you're doing business, you can get experience just by working in a shop or working in a cafe. Or anything like that, really. Whereas criminology is a bit more, it's quite hard to get sort of any experience in because a lot of the time the fields are quite confidential. You're not really allowed to be thrown straight in. So I've had that experience here, and I think I could benefit from it because all the bits of the background information I've kind of learned here, I can use that as to my advantage in my writing or my essays, which 90% of my course won't have, if that makes sense.
So unique, different?
Yeah, exactly that.
Company under the name of UK Fingerprint do a lot of fingerprinting. Have you learnt the process yourself?
I have. I mean, I've done, I've learnt the process of it. I've done more of the processing of the documents and certifying, which I've enjoyed. I hadn't anticipated doing all of that and learning all of that. So I think for the fact that I've had that experience as well is really good. And I've obviously learned how to do all of the ink fingerprinting, I didn't know all the rolled fingerprints or the flat impressions. I've learned that all, and I guess university is not that practical, so to come here and have it be all practical is, basically putting all of my work and knowledge into basically making it practical.
Get involved. Detective Diaries is interactive, which involves you, the listener. Do you have a case you'd like discussed? A burning question about investigative life? Send an email to podcast@private-detectives.co.uk or reach out via social media. You may hear your story featured in an upcoming episode. Don't forget to leave your contact details.
So what parts of the whole thing have you enjoyed most? What surprised you? What pushed you out of your comfort zone?
Well, I think obviously being fast on my feet and quick, and I think the what's the word? The uncertainty of the job. One minute I'm sat processing papers, and then the next you get a call and you're like, you've got to rush off and go get in the car and go here and observe this person. You don't know what time they're leaving. I think it's that kind of uncertainty of not knowing what you're going to do next is what's pushed me out of my comfort zone the most by far.
Okay, so I don't know, take a random day. Take yesterday. What'd you do yesterday?
Yesterday I did the ninhydrin where we got envelopes and we had to put it in a solution to see if any fingerprints came up, but unfortunately it showed up with that there had been people touching it, but because it was crumpled, there wasn't really that. They didn't really have clear fingerprints. So again, because there's so many students at university, I never would have been able to have done something like that. Just sat in a lecture or in a practical. They don't do stuff like that. So, and then obviously I go away and learn more about ninhydrin and the chemical process of doing fingerprints. I like to write it all down. So then I can use that to my advantage at university, because I guarantee you 90%, actually, I guarantee 99% of my course will have no idea what ninhydrin is or the processing of any of the whole chemical process of that. Whereas I learnt that yesterday.
So if you're in there's a small forensic lab, is it a comfortable environment like you see on the television? If you go and watch something like that, so one of the other programs, they've all got this big sort of clinical environment, and they're all relaxed and they're all chilled. What's it like in a forensic lab? Is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Is it cold?
Well, yesterday it was uncomfortable. It was boiling. It was like I was in a sauna.
Why?
Because it has to be warm in order for the paper to dry out.
Okay.
That's what I learned yesterday.
So, how were you dressed? Sorry, don't take that question the wrong way.
I was in goggles. I was in PPE. I was in goggles, I was in a lab coat, and I was in a mask because I did not realise how strong smelling the ninhydrin, that solution, would be. It was so pungent that even I could smell it through that mask as well. And gloves.
Do you defend your generation when it's criticised?
I do.
You do?
Ah.
All right, I'll give you a challenge. Criticism. Not necessarily my criticism, being a bit older, but a criticism of your generation. And is that you've grown up in an entirely different environment. And I think a criticism, fair or otherwise, that comes from a couple of generations above or the generation above, is that, what are you, 21 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah. That when you research, the research isn't necessarily supported by facts. And I know that's something that you learn at university when you're writing a dissertation and putting references and notes on. But there's perhaps a bit of a criticism that the new generation that's coming in, based on clickbait or based on little small amounts of information off the internet, I will Google it, is such a phrase, that what comes out isn't necessarily resourced and referenced and checked. Is that fair?
Are you saying in terms of if I'm going to do information online?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're, I don't want to stereotype the entire generation at 21 years old, but generally ask a question is like, oh, well, the person doesn't necessarily know the answer, will quickly go on the internet and just spout out the first thing that you see.
What, and not know the source that it's
And
come
not
from?
know the sources and not know where it comes from and not being able to back up the statement. Is that a fair criticism?
I think it's a fair criticism in the sense that we don't back up the source, but I feel like university does teach. I mean, I'm a bit biased because I did the IB, the International Baccalaureate, not A levels. So I did, I kind of learned all of the referencings, like the Harvard referencing, MLA format, all of that kind of thing. So I was writing copious amount of essays before I'd even come to university with all the referencing. So I think I'd been taught from sixth form how to reference and how to check my sources. So I think I'm more biased in that sense. However, I'm not too sure what it's like in the English curriculum or if they're really taught on how to source or check their sources or all of that. But I think with clickbaiting and things like that, I think in terms of our generation and believing things we see online, I'm going to do some defending of my generation in the sense of, I think the new AI definitely shows intelligence, but 90% of people that I meet now, especially the older generation, can't tell the difference between AI or not. So also, you could then argue that the older generations, or Gen X, millennials, baby boomers, all of those, they can't tell the difference between whether it's an AI news report or not, or whether it's AI content or not, like a video now. You get all those short reels or clips on TikTok, for example, online. And it's getting to the point now where people physically cannot tell whether it's real or not. And every single generation is being naive to it. So you could also say that, we're all susceptible to it, not just us.
Are you enjoying today's episode? I'm Torva Copeman and I'm a forensic investigator, and you can listen to my forensic investigation podcast here on Detective Diaries. You may even hear me talk about the decomposition of rats. Listen in and hear the real CSI.
How would you change that? What advice would you give to anybody to differentiate? And I'm saying this from an investigative point of view, which is based on research and fact.
Yeah.
Investigation is about uncovering and producing. That simple word of fact. What advice would you give to anybody to tell truth and reinforced factual information from the rest of the dribble?
Well, I think that it's one of those things where I know that it's based a lot on facts and what it's very factual and all of that. But as well, I think a lot of the time it also comes to how you think and what kind of your perspective on things as well. And everyone thinks differently, and everyone perceives things differently, especially me. Sometimes I can perceive things a bit slower than the average person, which is normal, and no one perceives things or takes things in at the exact same speed. I will tend to, I don't think I necessarily take things in slower. I think I more or less take things in more intricately or outside of the box. I don't take it factual to the point of straight. I don't take it straight. I bend it my own way and then can sometimes complicate it a little bit. So I think when it comes to facts and things like that, I never actually think anything's that factual, if that makes sense. I think that you take it how you want to take it.
So you question everything?
Yeah, so I like that in this job, that whether it is fact or not, none of us take it the same way, if that makes sense.
Stay with that attitude and you will make a fantastic investigator. Mm-hmm. It's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But don't take anything at face value and look behind it. Hey, okay, something a little bit lighter. Colleague of yours, Torva Coleman, who, if anybody was to summarise, I think they would say an interesting personality.
Yeah.
How have you got on? Come on, tell us about her.
I couldn't have asked for a better colleague, in all honesty. I do think that the job kind of brings interesting people in. Like, no one, not that there's ever a normal, but no one boring is going to enter the job, if that makes sense. I think that what I've learned is the job kind of brings in quite dry, cold sense of humours, if that makes sense. Quite dry, cold people in that have that are funny. And she makes me laugh. I honestly don't think I would have learned or got on as well as I have without her there, because I got along so well with her. And I think that she's taught me, she's been patient with me. Well, she's been patient to a certain degree. She has, but I couldn't have done it without her, I don't think. I think that she's been a massive helping hand, and I think that because she was only so recently in the exact same position as me, she's been patient to that certain extent, knowing that she was in my position a few months ago.
That sounds like a very political answer. Come on, what's a certain degree mean?
I think that she's been wickedly patient. She has, but sometimes she can get stressed and overwhelmed, which I'm sure most people do in this job, because it is so uncertain, and you'll be doing one thing 1 minute and then doing another thing the next. That whilst she's having to deal with all of that, she's also having to deal with teaching and sorting out me, which sometimes can get a bit overwhelming. So patience is a virtue.
What's the future hold for you?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay, what's the immediate future hold for you? You're going to go back to university for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are you going to do during the course of that year that isn't university based?
Figuring out exactly what my purpose is for my career. I think I don't yet know my purpose. For example, I know I'm going to do investigative, sort of detective type work, but I'm finding my purpose. Over the past 6 months, I've been trying to find my purpose in what it is that I want to do in the field. I think for some reason, this past 2 years, I've been massively pulled towards youth crime for some reason. I never in a million years would I have ever even thought of doing that before university, but every single mark, every single essay, I'm pulled towards writing it about, youth crime, and every single mark I get is, reflects on how well I seem to do in that thing. So I'm trying to figure out my purpose, whether it is that I go down the field of doing youth investigative or kind of detective work, or whether I do more. I don't know. I think it's just trying to figure out my purpose of what I want to do.
Have you perspectives? Try saying the word perspectives again. Have your perspectives changed in the last few weeks?
Yeah, I definitely think it has. I think it's changed in the sense that I know that this is the route that I 100% want to go down. And I've enjoyed, being able to, I'd like to say, pick things up relatively quickly. I'll always, there's a lot to learn and a lot to think about. And I know it takes a while to get into routine, but I definitely think that I know that I want to do something within this field for sure.
Have you got any message for anybody listening to this?
I think that it's good to know. It's good to not know what you want to do. I think looking for the purpose of what you want to do career-wise is more fun than actually reaching the purpose, if that makes sense. I've had so much fun trying to find my purpose that I think that once I get there, it'll all become a bit boring.
Etienne, thank you for your time, and good luck in the future. Are you going to be going back to Answers investigation?
Yeah, I reckon so.
How so?
However so you want me.
Etienne, good luck in your next year. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your time.
Thank you too. I've enjoyed it.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast, brought to you by Answers Investigation and UK Fingerprint. If you've enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more about the fascinating world of investigations, be sure to check out Private Detective's Answers Investigation. Their experienced team offers a wide range of discreet and professional services, helping you find the answers you need with integrity and expertise. If you're interested in fingerprint analysis or require specialist fingerprint services, don't miss UK Fingerprint. As one of the leading fingerprint companies in the UK, they provide everything from identification to background checks, working with individuals, businesses, financial institutions, and gambling companies. To find out more, visit www.private-detectives.co.uk, that's a minus sign, and www.ukfingerprint.co.uk. These are your go-to resources for investigative solutions and fingerprint expertise. You can call their office on 020 7158 0332. Thanks once again for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.